the Everything But Politics podcast.
Here we go, and we are live. And with us is Alexis Landot. Alexis, how are you, brother?
Good. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing better now, dude. It's good to have you on our show. I've been watching your stuff the last few days. You're a complete sick fuck. I mean, just
Yeah, I am.
completely crazy. Um, so the thing that really like blew my mind was what going through your YouTube and seeing you climb the Burj Khalifa. I guess I kind of want to start with that. How did that even come to life?
Well, it's a really, really long story. I think it would start with me starting climbing when I was 8. But long story short, we were called by Ex Dubai to climb the Burj Khalifa with Alain Robert. And yeah, we were, I mean, the first time they talked about this project was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But we ended up doing it last November. Yeah, it was great. It was great to share this ascent with also my mentor Alain Robert, the French Spider-Man. Yeah, really great moment.
And when something like that, when that idea comes, I would imagine you can't just go and do it. You got to like talk to people in Dubai, like people at the building, let them know what you're doing. I mean, can you walk us through how you kind of like get approved, or do you just do it?
Well, for the Burj Khalifa, I we were approved to do this. It was an organized event for us to climb, so this was kind of an exception. Normally, and we had ropes, so we climbed with ropes. But normally, I climb free solo. I don't have any ropes or anything, and I just see the building, and I don't really ask questions. I just raw dog the building, and I'll talk to the policeman afterwards. And
So,
usually, there's no problem because well, it's like when they look at it, they find it cool. So yeah, we just get along well.
So you don't have to get a permit or anything. You just see a building and you start climbing.
Well, it's not really that I don't need a permits. It just
Hmm.
I don't ask
You just do it.
one. Yeah, just I don't ask for one. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
it's like
amazing.
better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Yeah, yeah. On this case, yeah, definitely.
Well,
Wait, so
for our,
being from Paris though, is I've never been to Paris. Is it a lot of skyscrapers in Paris, or is it lower to the ground? What was your first climb?
Well, it's usually lower to the ground, um, especially inside the city. But we still have a few skyscrapers that are from 100 meters to 200 meters high, like the Montparnasse Tower, Mercurial's Tower, Crystal Tower. There's one small business district inside Paris, and there's a big business district outside of Paris. But like an hour from Paris or 30 minutes from Paris. So we still have pretty decent skyscrapers to climb on. Um, yeah, I mean it's a pretty good spot for urban climbing, I guess. There's not much of us doing this. There's a lot of people that pretend to do urban climbing, but there's not a lot of people who actually free solo skyscraper. And well, for these people, Paris is usually a great spot for this sport.
and Alexis, not many people do it like you just said. How did this even come to fruition where it's like in your mind? How old were you when you were like, I'm just gonna start climbing some buildings?
Well, it's I mean it's like it has always been me, in a way. Like when I was really young, as soon as I started to walk, I was already trying to climb everywhere.
Mm,
It was like a need,
yeah.
in me. So my parents took me to the climbing gym when I was 7 or 8 years old, and I've been climbing to the same gym ever since. And I'm 24 now, so it's been a while. Um, and the idea of climbing a skyscraper or just climbing without a rope, same, it has always been in me and really fits who I am, on a deep level, psychological level.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like when you see the thing I need in life and the way I'm anxious at everything except when my life is in my hand and I control my life, then it's yeah, I mean, it's quick to understand that there was like climbing that was a big passion. And the problem I had in life that I was really really anxious as a kid. So everything just led up to free soloing. So yeah, it's mm.
And has this become a full-time profession, or do you do anything else outside of climbing?
So it has been a full-time profession now for 3 years.
And
What were you doing prior to that? I mean, you were
Um,
climbing, but what were you doing like in an office? What was going on?
yeah, I used to work in an office. So I did 1 year of after I graduated. I did 1 year of engineering. I didn't like it, so I switched to um, creative design. Graphic design. Um, and I did 3 years, and I was really close to having my diploma.
yep.
And I just quit everything like a week prior to my diploma because I wanted to focus on urban climbing. And I felt like if I had this diploma with me, I will have like a backup plan, like an option, um, to not pursue what is really meaningful for me. So I think somehow, without me realizing, I kind of, blew all of this away because I knew that it wasn't for me, and I was really bad at graphic design, also.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And for our listeners and for myself too, like how do you get paid to climb? How does that work that you keep it professional?
Well, I don't always get paid to climb, of course. Actually, I got paid to climb only once or twice in my life. Depends on what you consider to be a climber or not. But yeah, that's usually not the way I'm earning money just by climbing. But yeah, for brands and agencies, and I'm seen as a stuntman. Kind of a weird stuntman, but as a stuntman.
I
Um,
gotcha.
so I've done a few stunts, like the Burj Khalifa. That was an event, organized event. But also, I did one stunt in Dubai for a famous watch brand. I'm not allowed to say which brand, but a really famous watch brand in Dubai. I've done a few events, speaker events also, and also through sponsoring.
Well,
Wait.
I see, and when I see your stuff, I think of, like Red Bull marketing, like they're crazy out there with the stuff like that. And
No,
I'm just
no.
saying, like they, just like the craziness aspect of it. Yours is fucking crazy too. Like you're climbing up buildings, no harness, and some of these videos you're going barefoot. I mean,
Yeah.
why no shoes?
Well, first of all, sadly, Red Bull doesn't want to sponsor me because, quote unquote, my sport doesn't exist. It's just a big difference when you have a brand that has an image, a certain image that they want to display to the public, and what they really are. How the people inside of the brand actually are. So yeah, I don't think I will ever. I mean, I would never be sponsored by Red Bull because what I'm doing is too dangerous to be qualified as a regular sport for them.
Crazy.
But in the case of being barefoot, I actually enjoy climbing barefoot, but for some buildings I don't have a choice but to be barefoot. Or maybe I have a choice, but it's easier to climb barefoot. For the friction or for sometimes small technical details, like let's say there's a small holes every 3 meters, and the hole is so small that I cannot fit with my climbing shoes. Well, I don't have a choice but to go barefoot. And so in some cases it's easier to be barefoot. In some other cases, it's better to have climbing shoes, especially if there's
So
ledges and stuff like this. Then you need climbing shoes.
what kind of preparation goes into this? Will you just one day say, "Fuck it, I'm going," or is it
No,
like a week
Hmm.
or weeks or months out? You're preparing. You know the climb. You know exactly what you need to do.
well, it really depends. Because on if first of all, my basic training is just like a regular athlete. Like I'm just an athlete.
I've
So
seen
I'm
that. You do some crazy stuff in the gym.
well. I'm trying to progress, but I don't have. For example, I have nowhere near the level of a pro climber. Whether it's on rocks or whether it's on bouldering, this is well, also this is not what I'm training for, but yeah, I don't have this kind of level, but I'm still training um to have like my trainings to fit like a pro athlete's training would be. So I'm trying to, yeah, like 99% of my training is in the gym. You know, like training every day, like pretty much every sports enthusiast. And I have also some specific trainings for each specific climb. But sometimes it's gonna be not really a training. Just I touch the building, I scout a little bit, I climb maybe 5 meters, and then I'm like, all right, this is good. Sometimes I'm gonna need a month of training, of specific training. It really depends. Like there's no rule. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What's harder, climbing up or climbing down the building?
Same. It depends on the building. Usually,
Um,
usually it's harder to climb down.
When is your next climb? You have anything planned coming up?
Well, I was supposed to climb something in Frankfurt, actually two, but I kept postponing that, and I'm gonna keep postponing it because I don't know. It's gonna be really a big thing for me. So I want to make this big. You know, I want to
Yeah.
have like a documentary made about this one. I want to make this like a big thing. You know, so for this reason, I've kept postponing.
So wait, so you've put out some incredible content. Do you have a team? Or I know you definitely have drone footage too,
Yeah,
correct?
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who's
Well,
running the drone?
so actually it depends on the clips, but yeah, I do have a so I used to have like more of a team. Now I have a few friends, two or three friends. I know that they're good behind the camera, so I will call them like, hey, you know, can you film me on this day, and bring your camera. And sometimes I'm gonna ask also a drone operator. I have a few contacts that are drone operator, and I have recently now I have a new also drone operator that will be my main drone operator. You know.
Interesting. Well, so I want to go back to your fitness for a second because like I said, a lot of your stuff is really next level. You're doing pull-ups with your fingers, like just stuff I could never do. My mortal self. How how does this training, I mean, you lifting weights, you're doing calisthenics, stretching. What's your main thing right now? Like today, it's Friday. What did you do today?
Why today? Today I did some strength on the forearm muscles.
Okay.
Um, so I trained strength, and I've done also a little bit of bench press just because I like bench press. There's like no reason for me to do bench press, but just I like it.
Do you go for
Yesterday I
weight?
did.
I'm
What
sorry,
is it?
do you go for weight or you go for reps with the bench press?
So my goal is to go for weights, but I'm scared of injuring myself. So
That's fair.
usually I find myself to go for reps more than weight, but the goal is to go for weight, the end goal. But also sometimes I feel like I'm pushing myself too much with weight, so I'm just gonna go back for reps for like a month and then go back to weight. But yeah, the goal is always weight.
So
I,
so as a climber, what are the most important body parts? I would imagine your forearms and your legs, I would imagine, yes.
no, no. The
Mhm.
legs are never the limited factors. You know, like I mean,
Interesting.
when somebody's climbing, he's never gonna say, "Oh, I can't climb anymore. My legs are burned." You know.
True. That's
Yeah,
true.
it's never gonna be. You know, legs are so powerful. It's never gonna do like be. Well, sometimes for really specific climbs, maybe, but usually it's not the case. Usually it's either strength on the fingers. It can be also uh, mobility, but also your capacity of being explosive on movements. You know. So yeah,
How do you
it's
strengthen your
actually
fingers?
well for any climbers. My best advice would be just to climb.
That's fair.
I mean, yeah, you know that just go to a climbing gym and climb for a few years, and after you really have fun and you start progressing and you hit a plateau, maybe you can start doing like arm lifting, you know, hangboard and stuff like this. But climbing is the best way to be better at climbing, and that's something like many people see me doing all the stuff in climbing, but I'm not a good example because first of all, when I'm climbing, I'm doing like usually endurance climbing. Like I've did yesterday. I spent like like let's say 3 hours in the gym. Like I climb 15 minutes without stopping myself. Then I rest for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Then I go back to climbing for 15 minutes. This kind of training, but it's not good for bouldering, for example. So if you want to do bouldering, my best advice would be to not do what I'm doing. But if yeah, same for strength. I've been injured recently, So I'm not able to do bouldering. So if I want to train strength, I have to do some arm lifting or specific finger exercise. But that's only because I can't do bouldering because of my injury. Also it's fun. I think it's a good thing to do if you're an experienced climber, but it doesn't replace climbing. Climbing should always be the main part of your training.
Speaking of injuries, people on your social media, people see the amazing climbs and stuff. What are some close calls you've had where it was like, some really scary moments where you could have maybe fell and maybe not have been here right now?
I would say there was no really scary moments, but let's say
That's good.
moments where I had to stay composed in
Yeah.
order to stay alive. There have been a few times where, yeah, it was like I had to stay composed. For example, I was 50 meters, around 50 meters high on the Montparnasse Tower, and I realized my chuck bag was upside down. So I had to find a way to untie the knot of my chuck bag on my waist, like move my chuck bag and put it in the right position, in the correct position, and tie my knot again and just keep climbing afterwards. So yeah, I mean, I had to stay focused and not panic or anything like that. Or I remember also the last part of the Crystal Tower is unexpected, meaning when I was down there before climbing, I knew the last part was different than the rest, but I didn't know how much it's going to be difficult. Uh, what it would change? Is it going to be trickier? Like how I'm going to climb this? I had a few idea on how I would climb it, but I could only see it from the ground, so your perspective is not the same than when you're high up, of course, and you can't really see like what is big, what is small, how you're gonna climb that. But yeah, I found a way, and when in those kind of moments, it's like time stops,
Mm.
and you're fully committed to the present moment.
Yep.
Um, it's pretty intense.
Have you ever seen the movie The Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah.
So it's like in the pit, when they're trying to get out of that pit and they have the rope on. No one gets it when the rope is on. But the second you don't go on the rope, you make the jump to the ledge. It's kind of like there's no other option. You have to get it. You can't look back. You can't look down. You just need to jump.
I don't remember this scene from the movie.
No, this is in the last one with the one with Bane. So when they're
Oh,
in
it's
like,
the only one I haven't seen.
oh
Sorry.
really? Oh man. So
Yeah.
that's a good watch. I don't really like the superhero movies, but those ones are the best. But yeah, I would imagine, just being up there, like you said, you can't your time stops. You got to be. I mean, if there's any profession, this is the one you got to be the most present. You just got to know where your hands are at, where your feet are at, and you just got to keep looking up. And then on the contrary, when you go down, you probably don't look down. You probably just keep your eyes on your hands and feet. Yes.
Well, sometimes I look down, but it's more like when I look down, I know I'm not gonna panic or anything.
Yeah.
I just keep it rational in my head. Although I know there's nothing rational about climbing a skyscraper without a rope or safety or backup. But when I start climbing, I have to be rational. And in my everyday life, I'm really anxious. I have a lot of anxiety. I fear death. Um, the kind of death that comes to you and you can't really see it coming. You can't really do anything about it. Like, I don't know, waking up and realizing you have cancer, something
Yeah.
like that, or a car crash, you don't really see death coming. And what can you do? You can't really do anything if a car rush into you. So I'm scared of this kind of stuff in my everyday life. I'm never in the present moment, but when I free solo a skyscraper, it's probably the only time in my life where I'm fully at peace. I'm fully at peace, and I don't have this anxiety anymore. My life is fully in my hands, in in only in my hands. Um, and I have to be stay focused on the present, and this is such a peaceful thing to live when you're an anxious person like me.
Well,
Wow.
and when it comes to when you're preparing for these climbs, how do you deal with the nerves?
The nerves, what do you mean?
Like I guess anxiety, the
Yeah.
anticipation of getting ready to climb.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when you're a
Yeah,
week out and you know that in a week from today I begin my climb, how do you manage that?
this is hard, to be honest. The time before a climb, whether it's like a month, a week, an hour, or a few minutes or a few seconds before I climb, it's really tough. um it's pretty chaotic in my mind. I feel I have every physical reaction of a stressful situation. It's really hard, but when I the hardest part is to get up and to start walking towards the skyscraper and putting my feet on the skyscraper for the first time, raising my hands to catch the holds. This is the hardest part. Um, but once I start climbing, you know, like I said before, everything becomes just more clear, like on an instant, and I just do what I have to do to survive.
Now, your family and friends, when you are climbing, how do they react? I mean, I feel like they got to be panicking.
Well, it's tough, as well.
Yeah.
Um, well, they've known me for my whole life, so
Hmm.
they kind of understand why I need this in my life and how it fits who I am, but it's still hard for them to accept, and they don't encourage me to do this. But they don't really have a say about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's such a unique thing because it's not like, I mean, when do you know other people who do this now, given your Instagram and YouTube presence? I mean, how have you been able to build a community?
Yeah, well, the tricky part with what I'm doing is that it shocks people. So for this reason, they are usually interested in what I'm doing, but there's no community of urban climbing. Like, well, there's a community, and there's four of us. You know what I mean? That's really small community. So we
Yeah.
don't have like fan of the sports. It's like let's say you're doing MMA, for example. If you're doing MMA and you're pretty good at it and you start being famous for this, people will know you for your people will know you because you're going to be famous, but they will know you because they are fan of the sport. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So even if you don't do anything special compared to other person, they will know you because they are fan of the sport that you are engaged into. But in my case, this is not true. Climbers are not fan of me, and just the only people who are fan of me are people who are in a super small niche of urban climbers. And it's again, there's four of us, so
Yeah.
I don't get this chance. I don't get this, but I get something else is that my videos are shocking people. Usually they're like sometimes in a
I
good
was
way.
shocked. I
Yep.
was shocked, dude. Crazy. I mean,
Well,
I've never
sometimes in
seen
a
anything
bad
like
way,
it.
but
I mean, I
so,
I was I was more like just like I wasn't blinking. It was amazing what you're doing, dude.
thanks.
Um, but
Yeah.
aside from the urban climbing, do you have any interest in climbing? Like, I know you were in the Amazon recently. How was that experience?
Well, it was really different from regular climbing as well because I was climbing on a liana, but sadly I injured myself on the first day
Mm.
of the trip, so I had to stay indoor for the rest of the trip. Sadly,
Oh, you hurt your foot, correct?
yeah,
Was that what did you fall? Were you climbing trees? What were you climbing there?
yeah, I was climbing a huge vine, like 40 meters vine,
Like
and
Tarzan.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And on the way down, I was starting to be really pumped on my forearms, so I just slided down and
Yeah.
I opened my feet were just full of
Mm.
blood.
So let me ask you this. If you could climb any structure in the world, what would it be?
uh, I couldn't tell like a specific structure, but because I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to have it easy. I want a challenge.
Mm.
So anything that is, a good challenge for me that isn't too risky for me, but at the same time that is a hard challenge for me is good.
How
You
about
know,
you climb in America?
never climb in America. No.
You should
Would
look up in Chicago the
Yeah, I know.
Sears
There's Sears
Tower.
Tower.
Yep.
See, actually, Sears Tower is the second hardest building ever climbed.
what is the
Oh,
one
it's almost.
Burj? Is number one the Burj Khalifa?
No, no. I mean, sorry. When I said climb, I meant without a rope, like free solo.
The Empire
Someone's
State
done that?
Building. That would be
Jeez.
tough too. The Empire State Building in New York.
I think it's not climbable as a whole. I know the beginning is climbable. Alan Robert climbed the beginning. He
Mhm.
was arrested, but I think it's not climbable afterwards. And Antena is climbable and it's rather easy. But yeah, I mean, the Sears Tower is the second hardest building that has ever been climbed free solo.
And would you ever risk climbing a building if you knew you'd be arrested right after?
Yeah, I mean, it's just if I know I'm gonna get a huge fine, maybe I'm not gonna go climb in the USA. This
Yeah.
is why I'm climbing in the USA, by the way. It's just because I'm scared of having a huge fine.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I mean, otherwise I would probably climb in the USA. But the reason I'm not climbing Sears Tower yet is because I'm not prepared for Sears Tower.
When you get prepared, you let us know and we'll be there.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, we're
Well,
ready.
it might be in a really long time.
We'll be
All right.
we'll be waiting.
And what about Asia? Because I know Asia's got so many skyscrapers. Have you been there?
Yeah, I've never climbed there. I've been to Thailand, but I've never climbed there. Hopefully one day.
It's so crazy. I mean, wait, let me ask you this. You were also on American Ninja Warrior, correct?
French and
French
Polish.
Ninja. And how did that go? I mean, I've watched the show, not the French version, the American version. How did you do?
Well, triple finalist.
Uh, all right, I
Congrats.
like that. I kind
But
of, but someone that does what you do, you probably are way more prepared for something like that than people, I mean,
It depends. Well, for Ninja Warriors, there's two types of contestants. The first type is people who do it for out of curiosity. They're just curious
mhm.
of how it looks, how it is, and that's like three-quarters of the people or half of the people, more than half of the people. And the other part is people who train specifically and they dedicate their life to winning Ninja Warrior. So of course, against somebody who is dedicating their life to training for Ninja Warrior, of course I can't do anything. This would be like somebody who does, I don't know, like bodybuilding, and he would come to me and say, "Hey, I think I can beat you at climbing skyscrapers." I mean, that's just it's the same thing. Same goes for that. Like somebody whose whole life is just training for the Ninja Warrior. Of course, he's gonna be better than me. I've never trained Ninja Warrior in my actually, yeah, I trained Ninja Warrior in my life once, but it was after the show.
Oh, that's funny.
So I've never trained for the show Ninja Warrior. I've never done any training whatsoever. So I just went there out of curiosity, but I still end up doing pretty good. I mean, yeah, triple finalist, and especially last time I was like top 10 or something like that. So I was pretty happy with my performance. I mean,
Well,
considering I've never trained for it, but obviously people who train for it like their whole life is dedicated to that. Of course, they're doing better than me.
Would you
well,
do it again?
No, I'm not doing. The reason I'm not doing it again because I don't think I could do better without training for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not willing to train for it because I have other plans in my
Yep.
life.
yeah, respect.
So for this reason,
Understandable.
I mean, if I went there again, it would be to just do the exact same thing I've done three times. So why would I do that? I mean, if I'm doing it again, it's to be better than last time, right?
Yep.
But I don't think I can be better than last time if I'm not, if I'm not training. Because yeah, I mean, at some point you need to train if you want it. So yeah,
Well, it's kind of funny right now. I'm sure you've seen it all in Paris. The Olympics are coming right now. I'm sure it's
yeah,
crazy. Is
yeah,
there is there any climbing in the Olympics?
yeah.
Have you tried to compete? How does that work?
No, I've tried one amateur competition, but I've never, of course, no, I don't have to. Again, I'm sometimes I do bouldering, and when I do bouldering, it's like I'm gonna dedicate a full year to do bouldering, but
Yeah.
I don't have the level of a pro bouldering athlete that started training for international World Cups
Gotcha.
uh,
It,
at,
is
at
the
8 years
is the
old.
city crazy right now with the Olympics?
Uh, well, I live a little bit outside of the city, so that's
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think the city is getting more crowded every week. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Oh, let me ask you one more thing, Alexis, before we let you
Yeah.
go. When people reach out to you on social media and they say, "I love you, I love what you do, I want to do this," what do you tell them?
Um. Well, I tell them thanks. Of course, it means a lot to me, and it's also the reason why I can live, with what I'm doing,
True.
like as a full-time job. So yeah, I'm really grateful for the people who follows me.
That's awesome. Well, you got two new followers here. I really enjoyed
Thanks
speaking with you. I'm gonna
very
keep
much.
watching your stuff, especially the YouTube. I really
Thank you.
I didn't blink. I didn't blink. It was so amazing what you're doing, dude. So keep it up.
Well,
Look forward to
the
seeing what's
problem with
next.
the problem is that my YouTube might get deleted. So I mean, I can't even upload anything new on YouTube. Because yeah, I'm being like banned, strike. I have a strike
Hey,
on YouTube
yeah.
because they want to delete my channel because blah blah blah. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. You know, they allow like horrible things on YouTube.
Yep.
I mean, I like watching street fights. You know, I like watching street fights, but they allow street fights on YouTube. Like, okay, well, I think it's cool. I like it, but why if they
Hmm.
allow like street fighting? People nearly killing themselves on on the concrete. You know, why can't I just free solo skyscraper? Just this, it's 100 less brutal.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just that is great. That's a good point you make too. But if with that being the case, where is the best place for people to find you and all of your content?
Well, I would say for short content and for the most personal side of me is definitely Instagram. Same for I don't have TikTok. Same TikTok keep banning me, but Instagram is definitely the place to be, and YouTube is where I put the best stuff. Like YouTube is the best of what I'm doing. Usually, really good videos that cannot be found on Instagram. It's more like long content, but it my channel might get deleted soon. Like it might be banned soon. So if you want to watch my YouTube videos, do it now.
Awesome.
Alexis, thank you so much for joining us, man. You're
Thank you
cool.
very
You're
much.
cool as fuck. We like
Yeah,
talking to guys
really
like you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, we'll do it again soon. Thanks, man.